Which one shall we take a look at next? How about distance? Distance is a fun one because it actually has some extra functions that are very useful to us. We'll go ahead and let's disconnect that. Let's get our node helper back in here. And we'll do this. The node, we want to be accessing this node here, this point helper. We're going to use that point helper's position, and then we have the particle position. Let's actually see here. We want to see where does our red particle run down. Let's move this guy right up here. Let's come back to particle draw, and let's remove him at frame 20 and actually have him be born at frame 0. And now what we want to do is we want to say, okay, whenever the red particle is within a certain distance of this node, I want to output a true and create some particles. And you can see right now that this position born does not have a position input, so he's going to go ahead and born them at the origin. That's okay. Let's go ahead then and to actually take a look at the distance condition. His set to a radius of 0 to 10. And basically what that does is that's going to create an entire range. Actually, let's bring up MS Paint. What that'll do is, if this is our particle, it's going to say, well, from any distance within 0 to 10, going to output a true. So if this radius here is a distance of 10, then it's going to output a true. And so if our node, our point helper node that we've got there, is outside of that circle, it's not going to output a true. But once that point helper is inside, it's going to output a true. Let's just go ahead and see that in action. Runs up, runs up, runs up, goes ahead and creates some particles, and then it stops. So as soon as the red particle is close enough within 0 and 10 of this node, you can see that those green particles are born. And then once the red leaves that radius and his position is no longer within 0 and 10 of this node, then it's not going to output a true anymore. It'll output a false, and then no particles from position born are created. So let's actually take a look. There's some other things we can do with distance. Let's actually get a top view here, and we'll move this node helper so it's pretty much right on the path of the red guy. And what we're going to see is that we want to take a look. So within 5 and 10. So the radius has to be at least 5 and up to 10 units away in order to output a true. What that'll do for us here is it now says, okay, anything inside 5 is going to output a false. But if it's within 5 and 10, then output a true. We'll see that happen here. Let's actually just go ahead and create a little spline helper. And its radius, we can see down there in the bottom left corner, that's about 5. And let's do it 10. Okay. So now, as we see the red guy, he comes in, he's just about inside 10. Okay. But then once he gets within 5 units, let's actually set this lifespan for these green guys to be shorter. Okay, so he's within 10, starts creating particles. He's within 5, less than 5 units, less than 5 distance away from the node. It's not going to be creating any particles. But then once he is at least 5 away, it's going to start creating more particles, and then up to 10, and then he stops. So that's how the distance works. It takes a look at the minimum distance to be true, the maximum distance to be true, and it's going to output whether or not that particle or this position is within this distance of the other position. It doesn't have to only work with particles. You can work with nodes, anything that has a position output.